Hello, good evening, and thank you for joining us on tonight's edition of Talkpoint on Lagos Television. My name is Oba Adeoye. If this is your first time of watching the program, it's our flagship current affairs program where we look at issues trending in the polity and try to break them down into pieces that we can easily understand and relate with. This evening on the show, we'll be taking a look at the build-up to the Ondo State governorship election. 17 candidates and their political parties have been cleared by INEC to contest in that election, and the incumbent governor, Arakunrin Rotimi Akeredolu, is running for a second term in office against all odds, and many bookmakers have narrowed the race down to between Eyitayo Jegede, who also contested against Rotimi Akeredolu in 2016 and is the candidate of the PDP. But again, the deputy governor of Ondo State, that's Mr. Gbola, is also in the race, and he's been able to pull some stunts here and there, but will he be able to make any serious effect at the end of the day? What about the YPP candidate, the young and vibrant Dotun John is also in the race, probably the youngest of all candidates that will be running in that election. What chances does he have and his party, that's a young progressive party in Ondo State? These are some of the questions we'll be checking out on the program this evening as we play host to a big stakeholder in the Ondo polity, and he'll be joining us via Skype. Together, we'll be taking a look at these issues and many, many other allied matters. Don't forget that we'll also be bringing your way COVID-19 update coming from across the globe, as well as checking out our figures and statistics coming from the Nigeria Center for Disease Control. My name is Oba Ade. We'll take this quick break. When we return, you meet my guest, and then we get talking. Stay with us. The Nigerian Center for Disease Control yesterday announced that 160 new cases were confirmed from across 15 states of the Federation, with Plateau posting 44, Lagos 27, and Katsina 18, Edo 15, FCT 14, Ondo posted 10, Oyo had 9, Kwara 6, and Abia 4. Till date, Nigeria has a total of 53,477 confirmed cases, with 41,017 of those cases discharged. But for 1,011 people, the complications resulted in their death, and we lost them to COVID-19. Now, outside Nigeria, South Korea has reported 323 new cases of the coronavirus as health officials prepare to tighten distancing restrictions in the greater capital area. The 16th consecutive day of triple-digit jumps brought the national caseload to 19,400. Fatalities in South Korea reached 321 after 5 more deaths overnight. The Korea Center for Disease Control and Prevention said that 249 of the new cases came from the densely populated Seoul metropolitan area, where about half of the country's 51 million people live. Away from South Korea, we go to India. India has recorded 76,472 new cases of COVID-19 in the past 24 hours, raising its tally to over 3.4 million. With this, India now has the fastest growing caseload in the world. The Health Ministry on Saturday, that's earlier today, also reported 1,021 deaths for a total of 62,550. India is reporting around 1,000 COVID-19 deaths every day, and there has been a spurt of new cases over the last few weeks. One of the reasons is testing. India now conducts more than 900,000 tests every day, compared with 200,000 2 months ago. Even as Western Maharashtra and the 3 southern states of Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka remain the worst hit regions, with nearly 64% of fatalities and 55% of active cases. The virus is spreading fast in the country's vast hinterland. Okay, Malaysia has extended its pandemic movement restrictions, including banning foreign tourists until the end of the year. Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin said in a televised address yesterday that global cases have been rising and the country has seen sporadic virus clusters, even though the situation was under control. Malaysia has recorded more than 9,000 cases with 125 deaths. Muhyiddin said the extension of restrictions will not disrupt daily activities, as most businesses and schools are resumed. Only nightclubs and entertainment centers remain shut and international sporting events prohibited. Borders will stay closed and those entering the country will be quarantined. All right, those are the updates coming from across the globe as far as COVID-19 is concerned. After this break, you meet my guest is the SSC on political matters to President Muhammadu Buhari. That's Mr. Bode Olugbore. He'll be joining us to discuss the Ondo governorship election as we count down to that election. Stay with us. That will be after this break.
The views expressed on this program do not represent that of the producer, management of Lagos Television, or the Lagos State Government. They remain the perspectives of those expressing them. Thank you for staying with Lagos Television.
Thank you for staying with us. You're still watching Talkpoint on Lagos Television, and tonight we are focusing attention on the build-up to the Ondo governorship election, which is billed to come up on October 10 later this year. So far, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has cleared 17 candidates, okay, as you know, and their parties, and the 17 of them hopefully will be contesting in that election. My guest this evening is Bode Guber, is the SSA Political Matters to President Muhammadu Buhari and is a stakeholder in the governorship election in Ondo State. Mr. Guber, good evening. Hello, good evening. Hello, Mr. Guber, good evening. Okay, I think we have a technical hitch there. As soon as he comes on here, as soon as we're connected with him, we get talking about that election. But let's put certain things in perspectives as regards the Ondo governorship election. The incumbent governor, Rotimi Akeredolu, will be contesting that election, be seeking a re-election in office come October 10, and that means that he will be running against the 16 other candidates in that election. Don't forget, in 2016, Eyitayo Jegede flew the flag of the main opposition, People's Democratic Party, PDP, in that election. He was defeated by Rotimi Akeredolu, who later became the governor after Segun Mimiko back then. But this time around, it appears, according to bookmakers, that the election is going to be a close run between Eyitayo Jegede and Rotimi Akeredolu. But that does not mean that the 50 not be running in that election, okay? And of course, the PDP, remember that some days ago, Rotimi Akeredolu inaugurated the Western Nigeria Security Network, otherwise known as Amotekun Corps in Akure. Of course, it will be the first governor in the southwest region to inaugurate such, body. But the PDP, that's the main opposition party in that election, has warned sternly that the state government should ensure that the Amotekun Corps is not used to foment any trouble during that election. Okay, 15 other candidates apart from Eyitayo Jegede and Rotimi Akeredolu. Do they stand a chance against those two? Agbola Ajayi is the deputy governor of Ondo State, and after leaving the APC, went to the PDP, contested the party ticket against Agbola Ajayi, against Eyitayo Jegede, and he lost out, and almost immediately he pitched its tent with Zenith Labour Party, otherwise known as ZLP. Does he stand any chance in that election? These are some of the questions that my guests will be helping us to understand as soon as the engineering team reconnect with him via Skype. Okay, Dr. John is another candidate in that election, and he'll be running on the platform of the Young Progressives Party, YPP. Dr. John probably is the youngest governorship candidate in that election. Does it stand any chance? Will there be any serious paradigm shift this time around in Ondo State? Those are the questions. And do the 16 other candidates stand any chance, even in their strongholds, against Rotimi Akeredolu? We are still trying to connect with my guest, who is Bode Guber. I'm now told that is joining us right now. Bode Guber is the SSA on Political Matters to President Muhammadu Buhari. Mr. Guber, good evening.
Good evening. I'm here with you.
Yes, thank you very much. We are sorry for that itch. You know, it's technology, and you really cannot predict technology. Very quickly, what are the dynamics, that will come to play in this governorship election in Ondo State. All attention will be focused on Ondo State come October 10, and we are, hearing a lot of stories right now as we build up to that election. For you as a big player, as a big stakeholder in Ondo politics, what do you think are the main dynamics that will come to play in that election?
Well, I would say that, there is the word to use really is the dynamics in Ondo. If you look back at the last election, say the last 4, in fact, the last, let's say 3 different governments, you will see that there's a trend in the elections, the candidates, internal rancor especially, from every single party. You would notice.
Yes.
And you might also notice that the problems we're having right now, rancor fightings and all that, it's not even limited to APC, the sitting government alone. It's within PDP, it's within ZLP. I'm yet to understand why that keeps happening in Ondo. From the days of Agago to Mimiko to Aketi right now, it's the same thing. You find their deputies or their friends betraying one way or the other. Should I use the word betray? But going against them one way or the other and saying, no, I'm not going to help you. So that's been the same thing all over and over and over again. So you find each person who is governing struggling much more to keep himself in office and looking for support from people, but I'm not sure they get it really. They don't get it.
Okay. Agbola Ajayi. Okay. All right then. Agbola Ajayi seems to be a force to reckon with in that election. He was in your party, the APC, before leaving for the PDP, where he contested the ticket with Yitayo Jegede. He lost out, and he has also pitched his tent with Zenith Labour Party. He seems to be gathering some momentum. Do you think he will be able to pull through any magic in that election?
It's obvious right now, if you can't pull any weight in APC, but by the way, let me speak as a Nigerian citizen.
Okay.
It's not a partisan member of APC. No. Okay. Let me speak as a Nigerian citizen. Pardon me.
Okay.
You will see, I don't see him as a threat, to be honest. I'm not even sure it's going to come third. I'm not sure. Why? You found someone who struggled to pick the party's ticket in APC, coming to 0. Run over to PDP, struggle, he still didn't get it. And then ZLP. Remember who was running ZLP, Mimiko, who is not even in his support, as far as I know, right now. So I don't see that threat coming in from there. I think the question we should be asking, to be honest, is this. What's the problem? Why would you leave the party that you worked for the past 4 years? Or maybe a little less than 4 years? Why are you running away to another place? How come you didn't leave in the first year? Why not in the second? Why not in the third? If there's a problem going on. And I think that is the prototype of the traits that I see in some places, not everywhere, in some places in Yoruba land, where you find your friends running to treachery and then betraying one way or the other. That's what I've noticed anyway. I may be wrong, but I think I've seen that trend consistently, in our land, especially in Ondo. So I'm not sure it's a threat, to be honest. We're just going to limit, the election to the candidates of APC and PDP. Every other person, 17, 16, 15, sometimes I wonder if we are not wasting the time of the electorate and our own time. I really wonder if we're not doing that, That's where I see it for now.
Okay, the candidate of the Young Progressives Party, that's the YPP. I don't know if his name comes to your mind right now. His name is Dotun or John, and he's the youngest. He seems to be the youngest of all the 17 candidates in that election. Don't you think there might be a kind of paradigm shift towards the younger generation of politicians this time around in Ondo State, knowing full well that Ondo is very sophisticated when it comes to election matters, when it comes to political matters of this nature?
Well, it's okay to think, and it's the word think, that we can use this idea of youth gathering to seek for votes. It's okay to think like that. But really, there's a lot more to elections than the divide of age and gender and the ethnicity and religion. There's a lot more to structure. The structure that you run in the states as a party. I'll ask you, in the number of polling units that they probably have in Ondo right now, in the local government, how strong can that fellow be, the YPP guy? How strong can he be in 5 of the local governments? Let's just talk about it. But how strong can PDP and APC be? They've been there for years. That's what structure is all about. So you have a number of people grounded and rooted in every place in that state. A young person, in my opinion, a young person should, I think we need to gather ourselves to infiltrate, that's the word, to infiltrate the sitting parties and bring our ideas and ideologies into those sitting parties, such that we are positioned to take over from those who are in position right now. Somebody has to take over from them. But when the youths are not gathered together, having united mind to take over from the old ones, why would they put their children there, which has been the problem over the years? Why would they do that? So I think we need to gather ourselves as youths. Well, I've passed a bit of that. I don't know how to define youths anymore. But I think that we need to get ourselves together and decide on what we really want. I give you this tip. In Ondo today, for example, let's leave the parties alone for a minute. Let's leave the various parties alone. Let's talk about what is that state going through right now? What do we need to change in that state right now? What has gone wrong? What can be done better? Let's talk about that. If we look at those things and then we have unity of purpose, we have vision, we will know the right person to put in office. That has been missing. We really do not know who to put in office. We run after stomach infrastructure, not the right thing. I don't think, great opportunity to say this, I don't think that the kind of leadership that our youths should receive as an example is what our elders are putting up right now. I think we shouldn't go in that direction. There is no need for violence in election and campaign.
Yes.
No need for that.
Yes. You just opened a vista there talking about violence in elections. You and I are well aware that elections in Nigeria is always, almost all of the time characterized by wanton violence, and fears have been expressed that Ondo and Edo may turn out to be violent at the end of the day. And was it yesterday or so, the PDP came out and warned that the recently launched Amotekun should not be used to unleash violence on opposition candidates in that election. How confident are you that the police and, of course, the security architecture that will be deployed for the Ondo State election will work and be fair to all concerned in that election?
I don't think we need to cry foul so soon.
Okay.
We don't need to cry foul so soon. Something I've noticed anyway in this election right now, apart from violence going on, propaganda, too much of it.
Okay.
Too much of propaganda going on, too much of lies going on, too much of shaking the polity. A very unnecessary thing. I watched one of our regular TV stations about a week ago.
Okay.
And after this spokesperson for these two parties, talking Edo now.
Okay.
From Edo State, from APC and then PDP. Where they were talking about, you did that, you did this violence, you did and that. And then the anchor asked the question at the end of all of those arguments. Okay, PDP, what are you going to do to improve the IGR of the state? I am quoting the question from the anchor. APC, PDP, what are you going to do to increase or improve the IGR of the state? They didn't have answers to it. None of them had answers. Why? Because they were busy talking about how to run the order down so much, they forget that they need to tell the electorate what they can do. They've forgotten. They got too busy. So I think As it is for Edo, the same thing for Ondo. Luckily, I would say that there's a little less violence in Ondo, a little less. But I do not like the way Edo elections is going to go. I do not like it at all. There's too much of violence, and I think that the people, this is where my concern is the people. That's my concern. It's the electorate. It's the guys they put on the street, the guys they ask to go ask someone down, the guys they give AXB amount of money to do this and that. I think those guys need to understand. These Nigerian politicians of today will reconcile tomorrow.
Okay.
They will reconcile tomorrow. They will find room for some interests that look alike, and they will reconcile. But I'm sorry, if you lose your life, you have lost it forever. So you need to speak to our youths to be extremely careful in dealing with each other, in hacking themselves and killing themselves unnecessarily. We don't need all of those things. I don't know if I can give you examples.
Go ahead, please.
I've had some experiences in this same Ondo.
Okay.
And then in Oshun.
Okay.
You must have known that when Olagunsoye Oyinlola was governor, he had actually given some orders against Rauf Aregbesola and his team when the election was in course. Okay. And it looked like, it sounded like violence. You shoot them. There was actually something like shoot them at sight at that time. This must be 2006, 2007, thereabout. But a particular man I know was actually killed. Supporting Rauf Aregbesola was actually killed. Lo and behold, during Aregbesola's second election, Oyinlola crossed over to APC. There was a life that was lost between them 4 years before. Okay. But this time, the man is dead and dead forever. The same thing in Agagu and Mimiko in this same Ondo State we're talking about.
Yes.
The number of people who have lost their lives.
Yes.
But I'm telling you today, would you say that Mimiko is not really a member of PDP, where Agagu was? Would you really say it wasn't there? So what about the people who have died? They have died forever. For what?
That's where voters education comes in, don't you think so? And do you think that all these parties, I'm not talking about political parties, all these parties in this election, including the electoral umpire, which is INEC, the political parties themselves, including the media, do you think we are doing enough as regards voters education, particularly as it concerns Edo and Ondo elections?
I think we're too blinded by what I will call poverty mentality. Okay. We're too blinded by that.
How do you mean?
So it doesn't matter, how much you tell our people to be careful. Those who will still not listen to you will not listen. Let me give one simple example. I walked into a particular market here in Abuja once, and the instruction from the gate is, once you come into this market, you must wear your face mask. Everyone will wear their face mask as they come into the door. But the moment they get into the market, they take the face mask off. That's our people for you. On the wall, everywhere, you find the same thing. Don't come in here without wearing your face mask. As it is for that, it's the same thing for election. So as much as you tell our children, be careful, stay away from this. In fact, about 4 years ago or thereabout, there was some cry from the same, set of citizens in Nigeria, where they said, if someone is giving you ammunition to go kill someone, ask him to put his own son ahead of that. How many of us have found that happen? How many of us? So I think we're so blinded by the amount of money that is given to us in our pockets. I'm not too sure we're so hungry to receive X amount of money.
What's the
I think we're just not listening. We don't know where we're going.
So what's the practical solution to all of this? I just want us to manage our time. What are the practical solutions?
We must continue to advocate for our voters to demand for accountability, to demand for deliverables, to demand for meritorious service, not mediocrity. Not mediocrity. A lot of times we know the person who can work better, but we choose the guy who gives us money. Let me ask you, a man who gives you money because he wants to come into public office, is he gonna serve you? It's not gonna serve you. Definitely not gonna serve you. There must be something behind that. But you find a lot of people who are willing to do some work, but no, you're not going to vote for those ones because the other person is going to give you some amount, and you rather vote for that. Why should anybody give me 5,000 naira to vote for him? You lost my vote the moment you asked me for that. But so why are we not asking questions about where to? Tell us what you want to do about education. Tell us what you want to do about health. Tell us what you want to do about transportation. Tell us what you want to do about youth development. Tell us what you want to do about security. These are questions to ask. These are questions. What about agriculture? These are questions to ask.
Mr. Olubore, I think we have to go at this point in time. We need to manage our time, and I want to thank you for your time and your opinions on the program this evening. We really appreciate you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
All right.
God bless.
Okay, my guest has been Bode Olubore, is the SSA on political matters to President Muhammadu Buhari, and we've been talking about the build-up to the Ondo governorship election. A lot of issues have been brought to the table, and we'll continue focusing attention on Ondo and Edo elections until a new governor or the incumbents were given extra years in office to continue as the governors of that state. And that's the much you can take on the program this evening. Talkpoint comes your way every Saturday on this platform, where we look at trending issues in the polity, be it in business, economy, anything that affects us as a people. My name is Oba Adeyu. Special thanks to everyone who has come together to make this a success at the end of the day. The camera team, those in the control room, the producer, the audio lady over there. Thank you very much, all of you, for making it a success. We'll see you next week. Fresh edition of the program. Bye for now.